On today's show, the LA Clippers could not spoil Paul George's return as they ran out of gas in a tough fourth quarter to the Philadelphia 76ers. Going to be talking about how things went south on game 3 of the road trip on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 21 years, been covering the team on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for 6, and 4 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, the #1 sports podcast network. This episode, we're going to be talking about how we ran out of gas at Philly, how some things I think we could have done differently, and then the one positive that I'm really taking from these last couple of games and this one. But Clipper Nation, another loss, game 3 of the road trip. This was a tough one. Second night of a back-to-back. Philly's been playing some good basketball this year, even though Joel Embiid and Paul George have been not healthy. But the sad part about this loss is that we were up most of the game. The Sixers' largest lead was 5 points. We were up by 13 points in the first quarter. We were up 13 points in the third quarter. We were even up by 10 points heading into the fourth quarter. And it was a fourth quarter barrage from Tyrese Maxey, who had 14 points in it, to lead the Sixers to outscore us in that quarter 37-25 and defeat us 110-108. The Sixers shot 64% from the field in the fourth and 54.5% from three. We shot 30% from the field and 20% from three. The only thing I'll say is when I watched the clips back, like I watched the game, but then I also watched the fourth quarter makes from the Sixers and the shots that we were missing. And it was very largely just make or miss. But it also came down to Tyrese Maxey having a great fourth quarter and our best player, James Harden, who's had to carry so much so far this season with Kawhi Leonard being out since game number 6. And, we were 3-3 with Kawhi Leonard, and we've been 1-7 without him. Of course, we don't have Bradley Beal, who was supposed to replace Norman Powell alongside John Collins. But in terms of the sheer offense, it's Beal who's really filling in that void, or was supposed to fill in that void for Norman Powell. And because he hasn't been able to do that due to the fact that he's now out for the season and was on a minutes restriction even when he was healthy, it put so much on James Harden, and it just felt like he ran out of gas. He tried so hard to get us steal that win yesterday in Boston. But in this game, James Harden was 0 for 6 in the fourth, 0 for 4 from 3. And in the second half, he was 2 for 16 and 0 for 7 from 3 and had 3 turnovers. So even though he had an amazing first quarter of 17 points, I was getting worried that maybe he's having a Harden heater, but will he be able to sustain that? Will he be able, with, how ball dominant he's being in that first quarter, especially in the moments that he had Bogey and Kobe Sanders and Brook Lopez out there, you can still dump it down to, and in Kobe Sanders and Bogey's case, they're the next best shot creators that were in the rotation before Chris Paul, I guess, came back in the rotation in this game. But I didn't know that at the time, so I was just thinking watching the game, okay, Harden's got 17 points in the first quarter, but he's being very ball dominant. Will he run out of gas in the end of the game? And it's exactly what happened. Because not two ways you can tell that he was running out of gas. Almost all his shots from 3 were short, and he was settling. He was really settling. And there were even moments where the defense was loading up, and he just wasn't getting rid of the ball. So he was I admire that he was taking matters into his own hands, but he made some selfish decisions. And I think in the third quarter, there was a lot of just he and Bogey dribbling around and taking bad shots. Like it was just ISO ball, like no ball movement. And not even pick and roll, just literally coming up the floor, one pass or no passes, and they get a screen guard to guard, and then it's ISO. And it was just a lot of step backs, a lot of tough contested jumpers, and it was allowing Philly to get back in the game a bit. But for the most part, besides a couple bad James Harden shots, And Kobe Sanders took a really bad shot towards the end of the game too when we were down by 4 and there was 9 on the shot clock and he took a contested deep 3. But other than that, we had some really good looks. Nico Batum missed a wide open 3 in the fourth quarter. Ivica Zubac missed a point blank middle of the key push shot that we've seen him make time and time again. Like we got some good looks. We just didn't hit when it counted, and Tyrese Maxey and them did. Like Tyrese Maxey hit 2 threes from deep off the catch. Quentin Grimes pulled up in John Collins' face. I watched the 14 made field goals from the Sixers after the game, and I thought there was some pretty good defense on a lot of them, but having Bogey and James Harden out there together to close a game, it's tough defensively because I think Norm was better defensively than Bogey, and we know what James is defensively, but he's too good to sit at the end of a game. Obviously, he's our best player, but having them both out there can be tough. And then Zubac's on one play, he, instead of hitting Drummond's body, he goes to the basket like to try to crash the boards, and then James Harden's not boxing out his guy, and Drummond tips the ball to him for a layup. I think it was Barlow. And then the biggest thing I have to talk about is when it comes to our fourth quarter defensive lapses, Kris Dunn. 7 points I counted that were, you could blame him for why they scored. Getting beat backdoor by Maxey, getting beat off the dribble on one play where I think he didn't want to foul, and then he's gambling on the inbounds. He's constantly gambling right now. He's got to stop that. I don't know if it's because Dyson Daniels was top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting because of all the steals he got, and he thinks he needs to get more steals to impress the eyes of the masses and the media and the voters, but he is gambling too much on defense, and it's putting us in tough situations. He's got to chill with that. The reaching, he's getting a lot of fouls on cheap reaches. He's got to just stay solid because it hurt us in that fourth quarter. But again, this is another one of those losses, second straight night, where I'm just like, we expect so much out of James Harden. He shot 7 for 25 in the game and 2 for 12 from 3. The good news is he made all 12 of his free throws. But he had 28 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and 4 turnovers. Did he need to shoot 25 shots? No, he didn't, in my opinion. I think the way he kind of managed this game was wrong. I think he just came out very aggressive. And for me, if you're James Harden, when you share the court with the likes of Kobe Sanders, with the likes of Bogey, and even Zoo, especially in the first half when we're winning, you got to use that as an opportunity to play through them, to conserve your energy for the fourth quarter. Because the reality of it is, in the fourth quarter, when the game tightens up and the refs don't call as much, it's going to be Harden that can create shots and really nobody else. Even Zubac in crunch time isn't necessarily reliable yet. So he's got to be a little bit smarter about how he does that. And some might say he has no choice. They're going to collapse if he doesn't. I just disagree because we were winning. He had already gotten double figure scoring in the first quarter, but then he kept on because he was hot, which is his natural instinct. But he's just got to remember that it's a long game and sacrifice a little more in that sense when appropriate. But he ran out of gas. Maxey was the best player on the floor, unfortunately. And we're on the road, and it's a very even game. They're missing Oubre and Embiid. We're missing Kawhi, Beal, and DJ. Maybe advantage Philly by a bit, and we lost by 2. You knew they were going to make a run. Like, being up by 13 in the modern NBA means nothing. All it takes is one run from Maxey, which is what happened, and they were fine. But what I'll say is this. We lost. We need James Harden to be great, or if he's not great, we need everybody else to be great. And I don't think Zubac was great. I think Zubac was okay. And in the fourth quarter, we didn't really dump it down to him. We did once, and we got a wide open 3 for Bogey, but it was mostly pick and rolls with him. And I thought he could have been better in this game as well. 14 and 13, whoop-de-freaking-do. At this point, and that's the standard for him. 14 and 13. 1 assist, no turnovers, 1 steal. A very efficient 7 for 13, but it's just not enough. Like, we need Zoo to be great if Harden's going to shoot like that. And Harden can still play through Zoo more. I checked on Synergy after the game, all of Zoo's post-ups. We only had 4 Zoo post-ups in this game. 3 of them resulted in made buckets, and he's getting fouled so much on these, by the way. It's like he just gets no respect from the refs. So I kind of get his complaining, but he's also got to chill with that. And I noticed that when Harden was in, he didn't get the ball in the post. So Harden can make his life easier dumping it to Zoo in the post. I know he hasn't been as good in the post this year, but we have no choice. And then the end of the game, Harden got two looks. That first one was probably a foul. We'll see what the last 2 minute report says tomorrow or today, but that looked like a foul, especially up top. He always jumps a little forward on his shots, which I think is a little unnatural, and he always does it like it's a foul baiting thing. I know people naturally, I naturally jump forward a little bit on my shot too, but his is a little bit outrageous. And he's always been a master. And whenever it's a contested three, it looks like he got fouled or he makes it seem like he got fouled. So that's also part of why the refs aren't going to give him that call. And also at the end of a game, you're just not going to give, the refs don't want to decide the game on a call like that. But he got another look in the corner and it didn't go in. But again, it's hard for me to blame Harden with the way he's been having to carry this team without Kawhi Leonard. We needed more from Zoo. And at the end of the day, the Sixers are just not bad right now. So the reality is this. We might have run out of gas in this game. Harden might have run out of gas. Zoo could have been better. Kris Dunn made some mistakes defensively. But the reality is we blew what was a great opportunity to start the season strong in the first 10 games. Because I saw our schedule. I said we're going to be on a road trip after, and the games are going to get more difficult, and guys will start going down. And here's where we're at. We're 4-10. We lost 110 to 108. After outscoring the Sixers in the first quarter, 33-25, after outscoring them in the second quarter, 23-21, and breaking even in the third at 27, we got outscored 37-25 in the fourth after they shot red hot and we could not buy a bucket. It is what it is. We're 4-10 now. We desperately need Kawhi back. I'm very afraid for the load that James Harden has been carrying, and we need much better from Zoo. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about things that we can do to make him more effective. Clippers lose it again. I got to tell you a little something about rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's sad. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. It's seriously simple to use and gives companies one source of truth for their people, data, and everything they touch. And right now you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnba. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnba. That's rippling.com/lockedonnba for 6 months free. I got to tell you a little something about PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. The new Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Clipper Nation, we lose this one 110 to 108 to the Philadelphia 76ers after leading by as many as 13 points throughout the game. Just ran out of gas. James Harden had a rough shooting game at 7 for 25 shooting and 2 for 12 from 3. Bogey didn't shoot well either. 9 points for him to go along with 7 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal. Thankfully, no turnovers, but he shot just 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the free throw line. However, I think 1 or 2 of those just weren't great shots. We shot 40% from the field. They shot 46%. We shot 31% from three. They shot 33%. The only category, and I will say this has been pretty consistent lately, which is a great thing. We've been shooting well from the free throw line, and a lot of that's been James Harden. They shot 70% from the line. We shot 96%, but we just didn't shoot well enough. And it's another game of us not shooting well from three. We just haven't been a good three-point shooting team this year at all. But let's talk about Zoo, ways that we can get him more involved. It's very simple. We got to throw it down to Zoo in the post. Synergy right now has him down to average in points per possession with his post-ups. But we can, it's an early season. It's 14. We're 14 games in. We can get more out of Ivica Zubac and change those numbers into being above average or even good if he just has a couple more good games in the post. That's all it is. We're early in the season, so that data of him being average so far, and also even if it is average, right? So for example, right now it has Ivica Zubac post-ups at 1.027 points per possession, which is average, a PPP rating according to Synergy. Still, if we're averaging a point per possession with Zubac in the post, then we should be going more to Zubac in the post. It also is going to keep him more engaged, and he's the second best player on the team. So a lot of that's on Ty, but a lot of it's on Harden. And then, of course, it's a broken record. I'm a broken record with this. He needs to demand the ball more. It's who do you blame the most? I want to put in the comments. I want you to put in the comments, Clipper Nation. Who do you blame the most? Zubac for not being assertive enough, Ty Lue for not telling the team to go through him enough, or Harden for not looking for him enough? Because when Harden was out of the game, Chris Paul fed him the ball. But you can also argue that, okay, because Harden's out of the game, you go to Zubac. That's your next best source of offense. But Harden needs to do whatever he can to conserve himself a little bit. That's all I have to say. We need to give the ball to Zoo more. 14 and 13 is whatever. It's not good enough for me. He needs to be much better, or else Harden at 36 years old has to have a great game every night without Kawhi. And if you want me to slander Kawhi for being injured, I don't know what you want me to do. It's the same thing every year. I said we should blow it up years ago, and it's everyone's we don't have any picks. So this is the result. For all those people that did not want to blow it up, this is the result. Now, do I think that we're out of this? What does that mean? Out of what? Out of championship conversations? We were out of it before the season started. Top 3, we're out of it. Top 6, I'm not ready to close the book on that just yet. I'm not. There's still a lot of games left, 68 to be exact. Play-in, very much in play. No pun intended. I don't see any scenario where we don't make the play-in. And if we make the play-in, I think James Harden will find a way to get to the playoffs and keep his streak alive. But more Zoo is needed. I think Harden can be a little smarter about the way he approaches games, especially when we're winning and when he's got certain other guys out there that can maybe take some playmaking load off of him. But it is what it is. As far as the matchups to start this game, KD, Kris Dunn was guarding Tyrese Maxey. Ivica Zubac on Andre Drummond. Sanders started this game. I'll be talking about him later. On VJ Edgecombe. John Collins on Dominic Barlow. James Harden on Paul George. But Paul George is not aggressive. He was 2 for 9. And 1 for 4 from 3. And 4 for 7 from the free throw line. He was still in a minutes restriction, though. So we'll give him a pass. 21 minutes for Paul George, 9.7 boards, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 1 turnover in his return. Andre Drummond was guarding Zoo. Tyrese Maxey was guarding Kris Dunn. Paul George was guarding Kobe Sanders. Dominic Barlow on John Collins. And VJ Edgecombe on James Harden. PG did make his first shot. That was the highlight of his game. But we were down 5-0, and we responded with a 14-0 run, and everybody looked good to start the game. That's actually something that I thought was a positive, was our starting lineup looked good. Kobe Sanders got going with a nice shot contest at the rim, and then took VJ Edgecombe right to the house for a layup. James Harden had a couple of buckets. Zubac had a putback dunk. Kris Dunn hit a 3, so we looked good. We went on a 14-0 run, and that's when we led. That's when we built our lead and ended up leading 33-20 in that first quarter. I thought Zoo and John Collins were making their presence known out there size-wise, looking big, punishing smaller guys. Our defense was pretty solid. As far as, because Kobe Sanders plays defense, so the only negative defender we have in that starting lineup is really James Harden. Andre Drummond was in drop coverage. Lopez and Zoo were hedging on Maxey, which, again, we saw some glimpses of that working against the Celtics, where Zoo and Brook Lopez came to the level of the screen to take away that pull-up for Pritchard and Jaylen Brown. I think because they're such drop coverage merchants to some degree, like they're always in drop coverage, Ty Lue is usually resistant to send them out to the level of the screen or bring them out to the perimeter, especially because they also have slower feet, particularly in Lopez's case. But they were doing a good job and showing that sometimes we need to do that because there's a lot of good pull-up shooters in the NBA, especially from three, and Tyrese Maxey being one of them. We were able to limit him until we couldn't limit him. But, after the first quarter, I thought we looked good, but could James Harden sustain it? 17 of his 28 points came in the first quarter. And in the second quarter, we had Chris Paul back, by the way. And I thought he was okay. You saw him get some good shots off. He played 11 minutes only. He had 3 points on 1 for 2 shooting and made his only 3. And it was a big 3 to put us up 104-98. Or was it 94-88? One of the two in the fourth quarter. He had 2 rebounds and no turnovers. That was good. So in my opinion, especially with DJ being out and we already have Kawhi out and Beal, I think we can go 10 deep and play Chris Paul. I really think we can try to get him going again and get him involved again and being a part of this team in this rotation because we're going to need more shot creation at the end of the day. Then Brook Lopez, thought he was whatever. 6 points, 1 rebound, 1 turnover on 2 for 5 shooting, 1 for 3 from deep, and 1 of 1 from the free throw line. He was a +5 in his 14 minutes, though. So for all the people that are talking about net rating with Lopez, the last 2 games he's been a positive in the plus-minus. But again, the sample sizes of single game plus-minus is BS. Sometimes it tells the story, but oftentimes it doesn't. We actually scored more bench points than the Sixers, by the way. 31 to their 27. Nico Batum, he's been shooting well lately from 3 last couple of games, which is nice after the way he started the season. He had 11 points, 6 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 turnover on 3 for 7 shooting and 3 for 7 from downtown. So he's starting to knock down that 3 ball. I'm always going to keep the faith in Nico, and he made both his free throws. And then Cam Christie, he was the only other bench player that I haven't mentioned yet. He had 2 points on 1 of 2 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, a block and a turnover in 12 minutes. Don't have much to say about him. Coming up, though, going to be talking about some of the positives from the game, including some of our starters. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your personal record, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. I got to tell you a little something about Rugiet. Let me tell you about Rugiet. Rugiet, let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnba to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnba, and don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right. Clippers lose their 8th game in the last 9, 110-108 to the Philadelphia 76ers, but there were some positives from this game to take, in my opinion. We haven't been shooting well from three. That's a negative. It just consistently, we have not been shooting well from three so far this season. But I'll tell you, let's see where we rank right now in three-point percentage. 17th. Wow. Not even that bad. Field goal percentage, we are 14th. But anyway, rebounding, let's see where we're there. 25th. That's no good. So just some stats I wanted to throw out. But here's some positives from the game. Kris Dunn's shot is looking okay so far this season. 7 points, 2 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover on 3 of 5 shooting and 1 for 2 from 3. But he needs to stop gambling so much on defense. I guarantee you they're going to show that as a point of emphasis in the film. He needs to stop gambling so much. He played 27 minutes and he had 5 fouls. John Collins, I thought he actually did some really good things. He was posting up smaller guys when he saw the opportunity and got the ball when he gets the ball in like the middle of the floor, like foul line, middle of the key. He does a good job of overpowering smaller guys. He had some big and ones in this game. 11 points, 7 rebounds, 1 turnover. So also taking better care of the ball, which is good. But why only 27 minutes? He's only played 30-plus minutes twice this season. And I know he's not without flaws, but we traded Norman Powell for him. You got to live and die with him at this point. He's getting $26 million a year. He should be playing 30-plus minutes. He didn't even get 1 3 off, but he was 5 for 5 from the free throw line and was our 4th leading scorer, tied with Nico. Of course, Harden first, and second was the most positive of all, Kobe Sanders. He is the glimmer of hope right now. He is the guy that's making me feel like, oh my God, did we actually get a good player that's young? Obviously, he spent 5 years in college. He's 23 years old, but still, for us, for our team, that's young. He's coming in and making an impact and looking like he could be a rotation player, let alone an NBA player, a rotation player right now. 5 for 11 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3. And that's the biggest thing. He's knocking down his open threes, and he's able to defend at an NBA level. Defending at an NBA level, whether it be on ball, contesting shots, handle the ball. He can handle the ball. He has good size. But 17 points on efficient shooting, 1 board, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 30 minutes of play in his first NBA start. It's promising. It's really promising, and it gives me some hope that, after this era's over, we got something. But that's all I can say is, everybody's panicking every game, talking about Kawhi this, Kawhi that. I already did that, for years. So, I'm kind of, just going with the flow. It's going to end at one point, and it's going to be one of the greatest days of my life as a sports fan. But right now, I get to talk to you guys. I live the dream. I have a great life. I have, my 8th grade team that I've coached for 3 years now in middle school. The season's finally starting. We're practicing tomorrow. I'm amazing. I had my 7th grade practice on Monday, road to repeating. I'm on cloud 9. I don't give a damn what's going on with the Clippers. Years ago I checked out. So I would in terms of us winning a championship. So I would tell you to do the same. And it doesn't make you a worse fan. It just makes it so that if you're struggling with that disappointment, do what I did. If you're okay with, thinking we're going to win the championship every year and then getting disappointed, then that's all you. I don't tell people how to fan. But for those that are really frustrated and are done with this, just lower your expectations, accept defeat, and do whatever you can in your personal life to make it easier for you. Because this is hard. I'm not going to deny it's hard. We're 4-10. Listen, the first game of the season told us everything. I don't even need to go any further. And then Kawhi needs to come back. That's all I can say. Poor James Harden. Poor Zoo. Not even poor Zoo. He's not played well enough for that. Poor James Harden for, having to do this at 36. He was brought here to help Kawhi Leonard, and now this is happening. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I went live after the game to talk about it as well. And of course, I also interact with the fans there, do a bunch of different things at Dime Dropper, so go check out my personal YouTube channel and, of course, this YouTube channel. Subscribe and hit the notification bell on the road to 8,000 subscribers, trying to pass Locked On Thunder for the top 20 in the league in terms of YouTube NBA Locked On subscriber count. And, of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.